his foot?
Yes. And he's making a play for this and writes her a letter so that the spinster, who's a bit of a, she's horrified, she's delicate, and she spins out of control whenever something inappropriate happens. She just doesn't take it easily and say, "Come on, man, get real." She says, "Oh," so she calls me up. This is after I had my operation, so I had to refer the matter somehow, either through her or through the present pastor, as a concern to bring up with this guy. So she writes the pastor a letter. And remember, this is the father of the guy I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And the old man is just clueless, of how absurdly impossible this hope he apparently has of being closer to this woman. It's beyond absurdity,
He's an invalid. His son's a pedophile. He has a hole in his foot. He's married. There's a lot of hurdles there.
And his son died when he was 16, being the great pride of Columbia, Ellicott City.
Oh man.
And
tragedy.
Yet it's a family that I'm really close to.
Sounds like a tragedy, a Greek tragedy, yeah.
Yeah, and the kid is still in Texas, in Nut Country, and he's a prisoner of the colony. He's not a prisoner of the, as you would acknowledge more quickly than other people, but he's not a prisoner for legitimate reasons. He's a prisoner of a system which has to perpetuate itself in order to pay for itself, not really to help people, but just because it's a big mechanism, mental health mechanism, which has to keep spinning to feed the judicial system and to keep everything.
Yeah. He should be in a psych ward for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm not really storming the fucking White House for criminal justice reform on the behalf of probably a sociopath pedophile. It's like, what about all the black kids selling weed in Baltimore? Let's get them the fuck out of prison before we worry about a fucking pedophile. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just in the injustices of the social justice, criminal justice system, it's like, he's 5 millionth on the list of my empathy for the system being broken, 10 millionth. Because they say there's 2 million behind bars now, and there's 10 million in some form of, parole or in somehow entangled, 10 million people in the system, essentially.
Yeah, 1 in 10 black adults has been in jail.
Yeah, so he's literally 10 millionth on my list of we gotta get justice.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, the fact that he was carted all over the country in handcuffs before trial offends my sense of justice.
Yeah.
Dude, a guy just fucking killed himself on suicide watch in Manhattan in one of the most highly secured facilities in the country, and he might be the inmate in the country right now as far as the implications of the case, and he was somehow able to slip through the cracks. It's like driving a pedophile around a couple states, no big deal. Dude, the implications to the fucking royal family and both sides of the political spectrum with this Epstein shit is so next level compared to what you're talking about. It's like, dude, this guy could have brought down both parties and the British royals.
Who's this? Epstein?
Yeah.
Who is Epstein? I'm not quite familiar with.
He is.
Is he the shooter?
No. He was
island.
He had an island, an orgy island.
Oh, go ahead.
Lolita Island, and it was famous for.
Was he the friend of Trump?
Yeah.
Friend of Trump's, friend of the Clintons, friend of Les Wexner, like Victoria's Secret,
Good old
Limited, all
Columbus,
that.
Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Friend of Prince Andrew. Like
And what were you doing?
fucking little girls on an island and flying all kinds of celebrities and fucking politicians and businessmen. There's a lot of rumors about what it was really, like some kind of blackmail operation or just a party place for billionaires.
For pedophilia.
Yeah.
They call it Lolita Island.
Yeah.
And this
It's a
guy,
great book. Have you ever read that?
Which book?
Huh?
Lolita?
Lolita.
The Bucko.
Yeah. Have you read it?
I have read it. Humbert.
Great.
And she's
Fantastic.
what a mind. What a mind. And what a tortured guy.
Oh. Just an extraordinary book. God.
Central Park 5. It's like you could just name all the time. It's like, I'm not saying that like people should be driven around the country without a trial, but again, on the list of priorities, it's like, I don't know.
My church had dealings with a black church that rented our building, and up-and-coming black church. The pastor was a Rhodes Scholar, well-educated, and preached a very, very engrossing sermon. And one of the members of the congregation, was an electrician who, felt himself to be very important on a Sunday when he could guide the cars in and out of the parking lot, take an active part in worship and everything. And I got to know him pretty well. He and I were pretty good friends. Well, he got arrested one night. He was with his son. He got drunk. He got stopped by the cops. And the cop happened to be a woman. And he called her an effing this and an effing that, and called her a bitch and the C word, and all kinds of stuff. She called back up, and they came and they put him in a paddy wagon and took him for a little joyride in Baltimore, during which his back was broken. This happens pretty.
Sounds like Freddie Gray.
Sounds like Freddie Gray.
It's exactly the same thing. It's exactly the same. So his back is broken. He gets to the jail. He's paralyzed, and it takes him 6 hours to get him to the hospital. Right? This is so black on both sides, but anyway, they get him to the hospital. I visited him in the hospital. His spine is broken. He's got paralysis of the legs. He can't walk.
Oh my God.
And the next thing I hear, he goes home. He's going to therapy. He's getting better. He can walk a little bit with a cane. The next thing I hear, there's a trial. There's going to be a trial, and they're going to try to put him in jail. They broke his fucking back, and they want to put him in jail. So
It's the machine, man.
yeah, so they he calls me to testify on his behalf, and there's a black woman judge, and I stand up and I tell him what a great guy he is and how helpful he's been to everybody, and the fact that I've seen him outside the blah blah blah, and but then I don't doubt in the least the officer's testimony, which is given word for word, and obviously, as the judge later remarks, this is a guy whose personality changes radically once he's had a couple of drinks.
Hell yeah.
Right? We've all met him.
Yeah.
So the judge makes that observation and says that she thinks in her judgment that a broken back is probably a pretty sufficient punishment for verbal abuse.
Yeah.
So, and paralysis. So she says, we're going to let this go. Do you have any words, Mr. So-and-so? And he gets up.
Oh no.
And he says, we're not talking about a Rhodes Scholar in this case. He's just a normal Joe. And he gets up and he says, Your Honor, I just don't know what's becoming of our country. All these people, right? He starts going on about the decline of culture, right? and I wanted to stand up and say, we're not talking about culture, man. We're talking about what you said to the cop. The problem here is you. I just spoke in your favor, man. But
You're ruining my...
Yeah. Show me some sense.
Daggone it.
You know?
Justify my support of you, man.
Okay, so what happens?
So it was just dropped, but nobody said anything about that. It was just dropped and it fizzled out, and that's the way it ended.
Yeah.
But the cops were sitting there, standing up, making a case that this guy should be put back in prison. You know, and I thought, man.
Yeah.
And the judge was actually very good in this case, but it was not law; it was just common sense.
Yeah.
And you know, it was unbelievable.
The decline of civilization.
Yeah.
He's like, you're gonna let a guy like me that cursed a cop out?
Right.
You should put me away.
We're not paying for it.
Oh,
You'd be surprised what you're paying for.
Yeah.
You're paying right now to hold people selling weed in Oakland for fucking a year for a bag of weed. Right down there.
Well, while it's being sold legally in
Multiple states, yeah. Oh no, here in the state, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I get it. I've got a prescription.
You got a card?
Yeah.
Shit, Joel's got a card. What the fuck? New York is such a piece of shit. What the fuck? You think you're the cool city? So cool. Oh, we're so cool. The epicenter of fucking culture. Can't even buy a fucking joint in a store. It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, it really is.
What a fucking piece of shit New York politicians are. Holy shit. It's still, like, New York. It's gonna be legal in fucking Mississippi before it's legal in New York.
Yeah.
What a goddamn travesty. Mississippi.
What were the laws that Rockefeller passed that were so...
The 3 strikes thing?
Yeah. They were really medieval and
Dumb as shit. Yeah, you stole Oreos 3 times and now you got a life sentence. Dumb.
mandatory sentences.
So stupid, dude. But yeah, that's all prison industrial complex shit. Machine that perpetuates itself.
I'll tell you, Colin, I had to do services at Jessup, you know? Church services at Jessup.
Prison?
Yeah. And when I go there, I look at this place and I see this place that must have cost hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's staggering the amount of money we spend on incarcerating people. Even though it's often a private enterprise, it's just staggering.
And it doesn't work.
Yeah, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's the kicker right there.
And you go to a Scandinavian country and they've got murderers.
Like playing chess outside on a fucking picnic table.
Yeah, and carrying on jobs, going back to work and everything, and it apparently works.
Yeah.
But we gotta put them in the slammer.
Yeah, let's build the surplus.
Because there's no empathy. We have like bloodlust in this country. And fucking.
We drove past the Maryland, the one down, what's it called? Outside of Cumberland?
Yeah,
What's
I
it
think
called?
it's Loves.
Yeah, I've been there too.
Yeah, that's where Adnan Syed is, the serial kid.
Razor blade wire, like.
Yeah.
Oh, everywhere.
Oh my God.
3 layers of it.
It's creepy. Ugh.
Because of a.
And then you get inside these places and you have to check in. And it's all like this old beigey color with chip paint and iron and steel. It's just really depressing. I mean, I worked at the Tombs for a year when I was in seminary as a field work job.
The
The Tombs, the Manhattan House of Detention for Men.
Oh.
And that was an experience too. I had to go through 7 sets of sliding steel bar doors to get to the general population. And one day I was locked out of one where they were making phone calls between 2 iron bar gated, gates. They conducted their phone calls. And they usually put the toughest guy in the cell block in the room with the guy on the phone, so that the guy wouldn't go over 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever it was. Because then the monitor, who was usually the toughest guy around, would say, "You got to get off the phone now." And a lot of people didn't want to hear that. And they'd be willing to kill anyone to get an extra minute of time on the phone. So I was standing this far away from a guy on the phone once, and the monitor, who happened to be a 3-time Golden Glove champion of New York, had to tell the guy on the phone to get off the phone, and the guy wouldn't get off the phone. So he grabbed the phone, put it on, and a fist fight broke out. And I have never seen a display of fisticuffs in my life. I mean, in Federal Hill at Cross Street Market, you know, where there are all those bars. Have you ever been down there, Colin?
Yeah.
I almost saw a guy beaten to death one night, but in the Tombs, I saw this fight break out, and it was awesome. It was just awesome.
Over a minute of phone call.
Over a minute of phone call time. And then I got, in 9 months of work, I worked for the bail reevaluation office. In 9 months of work, I got one guy's bail reduced to released on his own recognizance. It meant you could leave the prison,
Yeah.
but you had to come back at a certain time. One guy in 9 months, and he jumped bail.
Fucking asshole.
He didn't come back. So I succeeded once, and the guy proved me wrong.
Wow.
And I was being paid for that.
You're
So
paid. You got
could-
paid for one failure.
I got paid for one failure
Yeah.
at taxpayers' expense.
Shit.
Yeah.